I think if you're just starting out, I think hard money is a good way to go. You got your lenders that are willing to help you, right? One time I used this one lender. It's a nationwide lender. I think I was trying to do a draw and they just weren't sending in, submitted the photos, videos, and they even had an inspector go out
Mm,
and I was just not seeing it in my bank account, right? And this was when
mm,
I was first starting, right? And so those draws are a big help when you're starting out.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think a good lender is something good to have on your team.
Welcome to another episode of Fund Flip Repeat. I am your private money lender, Joel Cadlick, and with me today is Victor Gaytan. Super excited to have you on, Victor. Victor is a mover and shaker and doing a lot of volume as far as flips here in the community, and just excited to kind of hear what you're doing, how you're doing it, especially at your stage of the game and at your age, which we'll touch on as well, which would be kind of cool, man. So, like, Victor, thanks for coming on, man, and thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Never been
Cool,
on a
man.
podcast before, but yeah.
Well, bam, man, fun, flip, repeat. That's what we do.
hmm
Well, cool, Victor. So, man, I've known you here for a couple of years now, and we do some business together. But I would love to hear from you, especially for the audience. Like, how did you originally get into real estate, and was that always kind of like your objective? Like, what's your backstory?
Okay, so originally I started in the construction side, right?
Yep.
My
Okay.
dad, who is now my contractor, I would always work with him. That's how I would get to know the knowledge on behind the scenes on the houses, right? So yeah, I always started off in construction. We would do painting. We would do everything that would consist of houses, right?
Yep.
So yeah, and let's see. Yeah, I started off first in the construction, and I never had the idea of jumping into real estate until my dad asked me to be a partner with him on the house, right?
Okay.
And we did a full gut, and it turned out pretty good. So we ended up flipping it, and that's when bam, it hit me. Like I like doing this.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. At first, I wanted to be a cop, so real estate was never in my mind.
Interesting.
But yeah, yeah. So started off with one house, then jumped on to two at the same time, and now we're 3 years in, and I got 13 houses, and I got six going on right now that are flips.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah,
this was 3 years ago. You're
3 years
originally
ago.
doing the work on the house. You started doing it yourself. I love this, man.
hmm Yeah.
And now you have six. So you have six active projects going on right now.
Yep, six going on right now.
Dang, that's a lot to manage.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome. And what the audience doesn't know is you're 24. So this is you're
Yeah.
handling a lot at a young age,
Yeah.
man. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's super
Yeah.
cool. Okay, so I want to touch on the thing that you mentioned too. Is you said so you originally were thinking about becoming a cop. So that's super interesting.
hmm
What kind of led you to be interested in maybe that field? Because I think that's super honorable. That's definitely a career of service and sacrifice.
hmm
So why was that kind of like on your horizon, being a cop?
I think back when I was younger, I think I've always thought about having a dream job where I would have my own time, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And I think after doing two flips, I think that's when I started having more free time, right? Where I was GCing the projects instead of actually doing the work, right? And
Gotcha.
yeah, I think having that freedom, it's what led me to towards more of the real estate side than the cop side.
Okay. Awesome. And before that, so let's back up. So before doing the contracting and stuff, you were in the army, is that correct? And how long were you in the
Yes.
army for?
Uh, I was in Army Reserve for 5 years.
Okay. And what timeline was that roughly?
Uh, as soon as I graduated high school, maybe 5 months after I went the basic, got all the training out the way, and then my unit was in Stillwater. Yeah, so I would once a month back and forth.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah, well, that's really cool. Obviously, super love that. I was in the Marine Corps myself, so obviously, right out of high school, same thing. I went to boot camp in Camp Pendleton in California, and
Mhm.
I was stationed in North Carolina for a while. So I love that. Yeah, that's really cool. So, man, you got a lot of flips going on. Love it. What's the biggest risk you've taken on a flip, and how did you justify it, if any?
I think the biggest risk, let's see, I think I did one maybe, what was it, in September. where the loan amount was pretty high. It was the first one where I've gone over 300,000.
Okay.
Yeah, and once you start getting to those big numbers that early in your career, that's when things could go wrong. And things did go wrong, but you learn from your mistakes, right? And we went over budget, I think 30,000. And only made like 5,000 on that flip, you know? As
Okay,
long
so
as
you
then
didn't lose
yeah,
money. You still made
yeah,
money.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome, dude.
But things didn't go as planned. Yeah, you learn from your mistakes.
Okay, so what's your sweet spot? You said that was a $300,000 deal. So you're typically like to be in the lower range, mid range. Where's your sweet spot?
So I think where I really hit it off is at the 150 and below all in.
150 and below all in.
Hmm?
Okay, so that's
ARV above 250, that's when they tend to stick on the market a little bit longer. But yeah, I think the sweet spot is 150, including the house, the rehab, holding costs, everything. That's
okay.
the sweet spot.
And for the listeners, that's Tulsa, right? So that's Tulsa,
Yeah,
Oklahoma.
yeah, in
Yep.
Tulsa.
Okay, so that's purchase price, rehab, 150 all in, ARV 250 and under. I love that, man.
Mhm.
That's really cool. So you had an appetite, you went for the 300, went over budget, but man, you made money. So that's I'll ring the bell for that. The $5,000. I mean, that could have went the
Yeah,
other way, right? You could have
yeah,
lost 30 grand. So it happens.
yeah.
So going off of that, have you ever walked away from a deal that looked good on paper?
I think it's all in the number, right? I think it's all in the number, you know. So as long as the numbers work, I don't usually walk away from a deal. But if the numbers just are not hitting the book, then yeah, I'll keep my offer down, you know, because usually people they won't go as low on my offer, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all in the numbers.
Well, that's smart, man, because you are basically doing what a lot of people say they're going to do, but sometimes it's difficult to do, meaning remove emotion from it.
Mhm.
The math is the math. Don't get emotional about
That,
it. Follow the
that's right.
numbers.
Yeah.
The second you start playing with the numbers is when you're going to get in hot water
Hmm.
and you could get hurt. Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to reduce your margins, that's when things can get tricky.
So when we're talking about the numbers, like what like internal framework do you use to evaluate whether a flip is like worth your time or just not worth your time or the money? Like what do you look for when you're evaluating it?
So I look for how much time I'm gonna be in this property during the rehab, right? Sometimes they take 1 month, 2 month, 3 month. I go off of let's see, let's do an example. Let's say we have a house, purchase price is 100,000,
Okay.
ARVs think 200,000. Let's see if that works. It needs a light rehab, right? Which is usually about a month. Let's say it needs 20,000.
Okay.
So I need to at least clear on 1 month, at least 25,000, at least. That's the way I like to look at it. But I don't like going over 75% of the house closing costs and all in, right? I like
Okay.
to, yeah,
So you have a benchmark of what each project needs to yield you in profit to be worth your time and energy.
yeah, yeah. Because
Okay.
there's a lot of deals, right? I get deals sent to me every day, at least five a day, right? So I need it. I need to bring that number to at least where I can see one worth my time.
So is when you say 25 grand, is 25 grand kind of like your baseline? If it's under 25 grand, it's not worth it.
Yeah. It's not worth it. Yep, that's right.
So what if it's 24.5?
That's when you start playing with margins, and that's when things can go south.
I love it, man. I love it. I
Yeah,
absolutely love it.
yeah.
That's why you're in the position you're in. That's awesome. When you say so you're looking at a lot of deals, man. I think that's awesome. So one of the biggest challenges is just like being able to get enough reps and see enough deals. Like where are you seeing all these deals? Are you out there calling or beating the streets? I mean, people are bringing deals to you, wholesalers. What does that look like?
So, yeah, that's a tough. I've been having trouble getting properties seller to seller, right?
Okay. Yep.
And so I've been buying from wholesalers, which when you buy from wholesalers, that cuts your margins down drastically, right? So
Yep.
yeah, I think something that I'm wanting to learn here pretty soon is how to go direct to seller.
Okay. So primarily your source is wholesalers.
Hmm.
Okay, gotcha. Awesome. Well, that's good to know. So those deals are still happening. You're feeding your pipeline. You're getting them from wholesalers.
Mhm.
You're looking at maybe doing direct to seller as well. So I like it. Okay, very cool. And that is a tremendous amount of work
Oh yeah.
to do that. So
Mhm.
yeah.
That's why I used to buy from you back when you were wholesaling.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, now we're doing the other side, which that's fun
Yeah.
too. So man, I want to touch on this too, because you're leaving a couple of gold nuggets, which I think is really good. You said not only do you have a minimum, you're not getting emotional with the numbers. If it doesn't pencil,
Yeah.
you're moving on. But you also said something interesting of you have 6 active projects and you said, hey, if this is a $20,000 rehab, I'm maybe in and out in like a month. Like,
Hmm.
is that realistic, or is it like 3 months? Like, what is
Mm,
it really? I'm just curious.
so let's see. The house that you funded on near Mingo Drive, we were in there, I think we were at the month mark from closing to being on the market.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was the plan, be in and out in a month. But it doesn't always go like that. Sometimes we could hit the 2 month mark where we're still in the house. That's why I can't get emotional on the it has to be 25,000 minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and you're right. And I can absolutely vouch for that because I've seen it. I wanted to
Mhm.
highlight that because someone might hear that and be like, there's no way. But I think that says something about like how you run your operation, because that
Yeah.
is really, really quick. And I was like,
Yeah.
honestly, man, like I was surprised. Like I walked in the house, your dad was actually there, and I'm like,
Hmm.
holy cow,
Yeah.
this job's already done. I'm expecting like you guys to be starting like demo. So like hats off to you. Really, really
Yeah.
good job on the project. Like how are you running it that efficiently? So you've been doing it for 3 years, you've got some time and you
Hmm.
have the contracting background, but like you must have some like really, really good guys, really good crews. Like
Hmm.
how do you run such a tight, efficient ship? Like what does that look like?
So I think what really helps me out is that the GC is my dad, right? So as soon as
Yeah.
closing next day, I can have him in there doing something with one of the crews, right? So we have 2 crews, and not always can we get to all the houses, right? So some of the houses I have to sub out, and it's not always on the timeline that I want it to be on. So but yeah, we try to make things work and do it at 6 properties at a time.
So is that kind of the mark that you want to be at, is always kind of have 6 in the pipeline?
If it depends on the total, yeah, I usually like to be at 6. Sometimes we're at 4 or 3. And that's when I'm actively looking at houses, doing walkthroughs. But yeah, usually I try to be from 3 to 6. Anything over 6, I think it's tough.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that's smart too. So you kind of know your limits as far as
yeah,
like how far
yeah,
you can push it as far as efficiency with the current crews that
yeah,
you have.
yeah,
Okay. But then there's also the opposite side of the pendulum, meaning like if you only have 2 active projects, then you don't have enough work for everybody and you need to keep them
exactly.
working.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay.
So that's why the numbers have to work because I got to keep people employed.
Yep. So you got to hit that
Mhm.
sweet spot. Enough
Yep.
work, not too much work, enough profit.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's a huge balancing act. That's a huge balancing act. Okay. That's awesome, man. So do you view house flipping as a job, a business, a vehicle to something greater? You know, why? Why not?
So I do tend to hold every once in a while, right? But I think flipping for me is where I'm at now, but I do plan to expand in the future, right? I know that doing new construction has its pros and cons also, and that's something I look to get into here pretty soon.
Okay. So you're looking at new construction.
Hmm.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. So that would be buying the dirt and building single family
Hmm. From the ground up. Yeah.
from the ground up. Okay. Awesome. So I want to kind of go back to the cruise though too, because that's interesting how you're running the cruise, you have a balance. But have you ever gotten a situation to where you had to like, let somebody go? They weren't pulling their weight, they weren't doing a good job. Well, like, how did you manage that? Or
Oh,
is that mainly like your dad doing that? Like, because that's
so
obviously that's
yeah,
a difficult thing, right? It's not
yeah,
easy,
that's a
it's not
difficult thing.
fun, it's hard.
That's why I have him as a GC
Okay,
because yeah, if I were at the properties, I'm more flexible. So I'm
got it.
I'm not yeah, if I see something, oh, I'm more flexible. Hey man, you gotta do this a little bit right. As opposed to him where if he sees it, he'll say something how it should go. And if he immediately sees it again, he might have to let him off or something. But yeah, I'm more flexible than he is.
I get that.
Yeah.
That's really awesome to have someone like that that can lay down the hammer and take care
Mhm.
of those, kind of awkward situations, if you will.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
good. Well, no, man, that's awesome. It sounds like you have a really awesome, not only relationship, but business relationship with your father. And I think that's really,
Hmm.
really cool that you guys get to do this business together. I think that's unique, but how you guys can play to your strengths as well.
Hmm.
So that's awesome, man. So other than new construction, where do you see this going like in the next 5, 10 years? Or have you thought about that? Or what would you like to see next
I
5, 10 years?
would like to eventually get into multifamily also.
Okay.
Yeah. But that would involve holding. I think that's how that's how it works. But yeah, I'm still young. I still got a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And right now I'm on the flipping side.
Okay.
But eventually I do want to reach multifamily and maybe multifamily development. There's a lot of stuff to do in real estate.
Oh yeah,
There's
man.
always something to learn.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah, you've got, 24, you've got a ton of road ahead. That's awesome. Oh, yeah, I think you might have mentioned this. How many total flips have you done now in the area? Did you say?
Let's
If you
see.
know the number,
I like
guesstimate,
to say I'm around 20.
around
Somewhere
20.
around 20. Yeah, I don't know exact number, but I'd like to say around 20.
That's awesome. Do you have a goal for the year?
I think right now we're at, what are we at? Let's see. I think we're at 4, 5. I'd like to reach 10 by the end of the year.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, and my goal for next year is to be at least 25 per year.
25 a
25
year.
per year. Yep,
So that's like
for
the new
next year.
benchmark.
Yep, for
That's
next year.
awesome. Okay. That's cool, man. That's awesome. All right, man. Well, is there any other things like things you've learned along the way or last minute things you want to say before we hop off here?
I think if you're just starting out, I think hard money is a good way to go. It's and also you got your lenders that are willing to help you, right? One time I used this one lender. It's a nationwide lender, and I was stuck on, let's see, what was it? I think I was trying to do a draw, and they just weren't sending in. Submitted the photos, videos, and they even had an inspector go out,
Mm,
and I was just not seeing it in my bank account, right? And this was when
mm,
I was first starting, right? And so those draws are a big help when you're starting out.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think a good lender is something good to have on your team.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thanks, man. Well, this has been super, super fun. I'd love to hear it, man. You're absolutely crushing it. You're going after it. Yeah, you're doing a lot in a short period of time. I'm excited to kind of follow your journey, probably have you on again sometime and see what you're up to next year and just kind of follow along. It's just been awesome to continue this relationship with you and kind of see the projects that you're working on. And it's always fun to see how quickly you're turning these things over, my man.
Mhm.
Victor, I will put your information in the show notes. So if anyone who wants to get in contact with you, ask you
Okay.
questions, I'm sure you're a go giver. You'd be happy to answer any questions or,
Yep.
just
I'd
be a
love to.
resource. And if there's any wholesalers out there listening or anybody that comes across a property, hit up Victor. He is absolutely a buyer. He will let you know, just like you heard, the numbers make sense. He'll give you a yes and he will close. Guarantee that. If it's a no, he'll let you know right away. He won't drag you through the mud. So reach out
Yep.
to him if you got deals. He'll buy some deals. As you know, he's trying to continue to buy as well. So thank you, Victor, so much. I really, really
Yep.
appreciate your time. And we'll talk to you guys next
Thank
time.
you, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, my man. Bye.
Have a good day. Bye bye.